Yes, live.
We are live. Where do we start? I
We
think we
start from where we left. Yeah,
yeah we'll address the yellow dirty fellow issue a little later.
yeah,
Let's let's talk about the redemption arc that we've all been waiting to see. We saw a glimpse of it at Chepak, and we saw the full version of it at Chinnaswamy. Now, when it is a chase of 169, sorry, 163, you wouldn't expect someone with the play style of KL Rahul to mess up a very well paced chase on a good batting wicket. And that's what he did. A solid 93. He's always owned us. He's always belted RCB every time he's played against us, except perhaps that 2022 eliminator against LSG.
yeah. He almost had us during the eliminator,
Yeah,
but credit to Hazel God.
Hazelgard handled it that day.
Yeah, handle.
But
And
usually, usually in scenarios like that, it's always the scoreboard pressure that gets to his head. But in the chase of 163, you wouldn't expect the scoreboard pressure to do a lot of damage to him.
it's a tailor-made chase for players like KL Rahul who can
True.
anchor, and then he quickly switched on the gears. Then we
Yeah,
could see how that strike rate and everything gone completely out of the picture at the end of the innings. Mm.
exactly. He was, I think he was
Two games of
36
Singapore,
or 31 at a certain stage.
hmm?
He was 36 of 31 at a certain stage.
Yeah, that's when the acceleration started. At a point, I think he was 29 of 29, going run a ball. Yeah,
Yeah.
so far we
It
have
was the
had,
reached a level that made him start accelerating.
yeah, uh, two games at Chinnaswamy, both the games being finished in the last ball of the 18th over.
Yeah. So I think we are at a good stage to claim that we have kept the net run rate under check. Now, it was difficult to see, but it was nice to see that the team did put up a lot of fight. Like
Yeah,
in the
it
chase,
was those two
I
overs
thought
when
the chase.
Krasnodar Padilla went out of the ground,
Yeah,
and Livingston and Suyash had an over. It's always the last over from Suyash Sharma that goes banged out of the park.
yeah,
Uh, those two overs and the slight drizzle over Chinnaswamy helped DC easily. Uh, Not just blaming the rain and poor two overs, but it is what it is. The rain absolutely helped. We saw this happen even during a 2017 game against KKR. RCB was struggling. It was Chris Gale's 100th game for RCB.
correct.
Uh, Gale got out in the first over. RCB was struggling. There was a slight rain. Then you could see Travis had come and get his
Yeah,
one and only
Head and
50.
Kohli did the job later. Correct.
Yeah, Mandeep Singh, even he played that game. Yeah, then we saw what KKR did. Like around 3-4 balls flew to Cubbon Park in the run
Correct.
chase. But yeah, the rain eased up the wicket, and the pitch
So
was really on a slower side this time.
it was on the slower side, but just as the rain started, KL was on 51 of 39, which is still a position of control, but it was pretty evenly balanced until that point. But as soon as the rain kicked in, KL does not know what the net run rate looks like, which means there's going to be a decent amount of calculations that will be running inside his head. Now, with those calculations, we knew that DC were only one run behind in terms of the net run rate, but KL doesn't know that. His first instinct is to get a good number of runs in the Hazelwood over, and ensure that they are ahead in terms of the net run rate as soon as possible. Now, Hazelwood has a tendency of bowling length when he bowls before the 16th over, and I think KL took advantage of that. He knows that it's only going to be length, and I think we got three fours and a six out of that over, which completely changed the game and made it a one-sided affair from that point on.
Yeah. Is Hazelwood not suitable for Chinnaswamy anymore?
No, I'd say if he was able to bowl at the 1K day, he should be able to bowl at the Chinnaswamy as well. Of course, the altitude factor being a little bit more um, troublesome for the bowlers at the Chinnaswamy. But we saw that he can nail clean Yorkers outside the off stump. He just doesn't resort to those options because he seems to think length is the better option. But that is also because this was still the 15th over, if I'm not wrong. So it was still the beginning of that death over phase. So I think he just felt like he can try a little bit more in terms of his variation and try to go for a wicket rather than stalling the game.
Yeah. Let's start with the opening. It was a blistering knock from Phil Salt. Three
Yeah.
overs, 53. Even when he got out, we were 4 overs, 63 for one. What a start. We were dreaming.
Yeah, look, we were dreaming. It was like once you're 50 in the first 3 overs, you are automatically looking at a target of 240 inside your head. But this is the second time this has happened. A collapse which is all uncalled for, even though the pitch is not that terrible to bat on. It wasn't a two-paced wicket. The wicket was one-paced. It's just that it was slightly on the slower side, but it wasn't. Oh, it also had a little bit extra bounce. That is also on the cards.
Yeah, there was one straight line of grass on the wicket that was left.
Yeah, correct. I mean, Darshan has a good point. We have bashed only the minnows till now. I think KKR was still a good win though, even though it came chasing and we won the toss for that game. I do want to look at this team trying to pull off wins despite losing the toss. Yes, we got it in Chepak, but like that doesn't count for much. Um, can they go to Rajasthan, lose the toss, and win the game? Can they go to Punjab, lose the toss, and still win the game? So that will put some confidence coming back to Chinnaswamy because it's going to be another tough game when they come back here.
I think in grounds like Jaipur and Mohali or Mulanpur, the
Yeah.
toss doesn't really matter. We saw like Punjab won the
Wasn't
toss.
because there's no due. Yeah.
There's no due, and even in the previous game that Chennai and Punjab played, Punjab
Yeah.
won the toss and opted to bat first.
Yep.
It was interesting. So, and Chennai was able to touch the 200 figure,
Correct.
but yeah, it was
No,
again the
that difference was largely because of a little bit of incapability in terms of striking from Devon Conway and all that stuff.
yeah,
The
but
game wouldn't
it's a
chase it down
clear
in confidence.
indicator that the toss doesn't matter. Even
In
in
Mulanpur, for sure, yeah.
yeah, even
But
in Jaipur, the toss hasn't mattered
yeah,
actually.
but the factor over here is just to put some confidence in their heads to make them think, okay, the task is not the end of the world. I know it is a little bit more effective in Chinnaswamy, but yeah, there's no due in Mulanpur and Paraspara, so it's not. Sorry, no, Savai Mansingh.
We have an interesting question. Why is playing in Chinnaswamy a problem for them?
Toss.
Hmm,
Because unlike, look, I know there's not Dew has still not been a major factor in any of the games so far, and we have the extra ball to help us counter that issue. But somewhere it feels like the pitch starts to settle down a little bit better in the second half of the game, right? When the after maybe the first 7, 8 overs of play have passed is when we start seeing the pitch settling down, and it gives Tim David that bit of a boost in terms of coming in and hitting those last few sixes and taking the score to something respectable. But it still feels like with the new ball, with the surface a little bit harder than what it should be, there is a little bit of extra movement that is coming out from the fast bowlers with the new ball. And the extra bounce on this surface did not help our cause.
interesting. So we had bowlers who could hit the deck and who could swing up front. Uh, in terms of the matchups and the bowling combinations that both the team had, we had the
Better
better
bowling
bowling.
advantage, yes.
Yeah. Despite that, um,
It is a
is it a
batting favor. No doubt over there. It's 100% a batting failure for sure. The bowlers did a really good job to take it that deep in the first place. It would have been a 190 wicket at the bare minimum
Hmm.
to make the contest somewhat interesting. Now, given that it's a 160 score and they still managed to top it. Oh, by the way, we called the JFM wicket. So we will talk about that a little bit more. It's sad
Yeah.
that Abhishek isn't here. Uh, but yeah, there is so much potential that the batters can harness because you have the ball not coming on that well in the first 6 overs. Don't try to overdo the power play. I think teams have been guilty of this throughout the IPL. They've been targeting 240 before figuring out what the pitch actually is. So even though it looks slightly flat at first glance, there was a lot of extra bounce on it. And
Hmm.
at the same time, it was on the slower side, which is what resulted in those top edges flying away, high up in the air.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's something that the batters have to assess a little bit more. Phil Salt is doing his job, but aside from that, a good 65 for one at the start of the power play on a pitch like this would have been perfect.
Yeah.
But choking it and losing 2 or 3 wickets extra puts that extra bit of pressure on them to start putting those thoughts in their head, right? Do I want 180? Do I want 190? Now, if I have to push to 180, how much do I need to get? And in that process, they end up scoring 160.
Mm.
So, factors.
But yeah, if you look at the outcomes of the toss and the games at Chinnaswamy,
Yeah,
it's very marginal, like
it is.
45 5 to batting first, batting second. So I don't think toss really plays a huge role here. You have an advantage batting first and
For
second
sure.
on this.
No, that is fair. It's the only thing that puts a slight prick is okay. Not counting these two games, but at a later stage during this tournament, you will become a major factor.
Hmm.
But until this point, it's just been the fact that they've not prepared the same kind of pitches that we've seen naturally at the Chinnaswamy. So it seems to have gone back to the conditions that we saw pre-COVID, those 3 years of WTF pitches that we got during all the games that we played in the Chinnaswamy. But yeah, it shouldn't be a major factor because we did have games even then where we batted first. For example, the 2019 game against CSK, we batted first, we got 160, and we managed to defend it.
Yeah,
So credit where credit is due. It is all the KL Rahul show. He managed to pace his innings well and knew when to target the bowlers.
exactly. He held his nerve instead of attacking. Although he gave one chance, it's those
Yeah,
half chances that you grab them will result in those victories.
yeah.
But Rajat Patidar tried hard. I don't know how it looked on TV, but it was a
I
really
actually
great.
went back and watched it on TV. It does no justice to the distance that he covered on field.
Yeah,
So it's going past covers, and Rajat Patidar has moved from mid off all the way to covers.
hours.
Almost three-fourths of that boundary line where he had to dive for the catch. And honestly, mad respect that he managed to cover that ground. But once you have covered that ground, you are expected to take that catch more often than
Yeah, he
not.
grabbed, and even during the second chance, it was near his hand. But yeah,
Yeah.
tough luck. It was KLR's day. He got his redemption. Uh, he's showing solid form, being a middle order player in the T20 circuit now.
True. And the other side of this is that we do go to Delhi, and we're going to hope that Kohli recreates an Uno reverse of this because
Mhm.
Delhi boy in Delhi in front of the Virat Kohli pavilion.
Yeah.
So that is on the cards for sure. But another thing, speaking of Kohli, another thing that I really need to discuss is how animated he looked after the game, or like towards the end of the game when he was having a conversation with DK at the boundary line. Something did not feel right in terms. I think there's been some execution or planning that's gone completely wrong. Maybe he had a certain opinion about it, and that opinion wasn't given the right amount of importance that it should have been given. But there was a little bit of heat that was visible. We just don't know what transpired in that situation.
Yeah. But anyways, do you see any changes moving into the first afternoon game of the season? Playing an extra
No.
sprinter or
Um,
anything?
I think we are pretty sorted as a playing 11 as of now. The only thing that I feel has to click a little bit more is Liam Livingston walking in and being able to hit sixes at will, because that's something that he's struggled to do. He's taken some time to be able to pull that off, as we saw in the GT game. It took him a solid 30 balls to set himself in to be able to hit those sixes in the second half of that innings. So if he's able to fix that issue and actually put in some solid, work and play with the strike rate that he's known to play, then I'm pretty sure that the playing level will be unchanged and it should look solid by itself.
Yeah. I was convinced when I saw like Rajat Padidar's innings of when he was almost playing runner ball. The
Yeah,
surface is not a good surface at all when Patidar plays
correct.
runner ball. So
True.
that's what gave us a slight relief that we can defend this score. It looked all great until it started to rain. Yeah.
Yeah,
What about the issue of DDP?
I still personally feel like it shouldn't be taken at a high level because he's performed in two games. He's done his job. He's shown us that he's capable of that strike rate, and I don't think we can blame him in this scenario because the wicket was behaving in a certain manner when he came in, and Jitesh also faced that issue. Now, if Jitesh himself is facing that issue, you shouldn't be blaming DDP for the kind of knock that he played.
Yeah. If you look at the top six or top seven of RCB, each of them have played very good games, two each games in the season so far. They have
Yeah,
contributed in the victories, so not really a concern when we consider the bigger picture.
correct.
So I think they will go with the same team.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Also, there has been discussion on that Phil Salt run out about whose fault it was. In my opinion, it was nobody's fault. Salt could have gotten back. He just slipped on the surface and fell down. So
it looked like Kohli's fault when in the stadium,
at
but
first glance,
after,
yes. But once
yeah,
once we went and reviewed it on the clips, there wasn't a run there because Salt hit it too hard to
yeah,
the
the
fielder.
ball didn't go past the non-striker's line, so it
Yeah,
is the striker's call. Uh, yeah, he had a wrong call and he also had a slippage on the pitch. So we can just consider that part and parcel of the game. Very
yeah,
unfortunate for Phil Salt.
yeah. I mean, it's slippage is common. Invest in better shoes next time. Kohli's deal with Puma has ended. Maybe kind of different brand now.
Yeah. With that, let's move to the next game. Uh,
Yeah, the more interesting game. Yesterday's, I'm pretty sure the entirety of Bangalore would have been hate watching yesterday.
yeah,
Very unfortunate to see a team like this performing like this. And we found out that Tala was going to be captain right as we were entering the stadium before the Delhi game. Now, let's talk about Ruturaj Gaikwad's injury first, right? Ruturaj Gaikwad had an elbow injury 2 games ago, continued to play despite that. So I think the injury was picked up during the Rajasthan Royals game. He continued playing that game, after which he played the Punjab game as well. And it didn't seem like it was too much of a problem. Now they claim that it's a hairline fracture. Sure, fair enough. Maybe it was bothering him a little too much. That is understandable. But what bothers me is the fact that they put this release out that Tala is going to be captain and Ruturaj is unfit to play. And then there's a video that comes out on Twitter of him having an armband on and he's playing football.
yeah, very surprising. And yeah, what we imagined like few games ago that Ruturaj would be sacked. There were a lot of rumors on Twitter. Uh, it's finally true. Tala is back again, appointed as the captain of CSK, going to be the oldest ever captain in the history of IPL.
Yep.
Lot of hopes. lot of people were believing that CSK will return to the glory days under Tala's captaincy.
Hmm.
It's only gone down from here.
True. So for me, um, I don't look. They don't have any other captaincy options because Rachin and Conway haven't been experienced enough leading the New Zealand side yet, and they don't have any prior captaincy experience. So, like the only option is Tala, given that Jadeja screwed up in 2022. I'm sure that would have been running in the back of their heads. Now, their other option was probably Ashwin, but Ashwin has already had enough issues with the ball. So, dumping an extra load of captaincy on him would have maybe screwed with him a little too much. Now, the replacement for Ruturaj Gaikwad, the two speculations that have been floating around on the internet have been between Prithvi Shah and Ayush Matre. Ayush Matre, being another Maharashtra lad, is obviously going to be looked at by Ruturaj Gaikwad himself, in my opinion. I don't think Prithvi Shah is a CSK coded player, despite the fact that he got banned for abusing drugs.
And the age factor.
Age factor, yeah. Look, there is always that whole concept of let's bring a finished player and recreate this fellow's game. And for all you know, it could have worked out with Prithvi Shaw. But on a pitch like Chepak, where batters are incapable of tackling spin, it's not made for him. Ayush Matre, if he does come in, would probably be a better fit in the playing 11. Good to see that they played Anshul Kamboj, had an unfortunate first over, but came back pretty solid in the
Having
second.
such a low score as a target to defend and being the first game for playing such a big franchise,
Yep.
definitely it's huge pressure for a youngster.
Yeah.
So although he had a good
Good second
inning,
over. Yeah.
yeah.
To be
So
fair.
slightly better in terms of bowling, a good upgrade over Mukesh Stark.
Yeah. No, this is an important thing that we need to discuss. The whole impact player scenario, because KKR didn't even have to bring in their impact player. That's how peaceful it was for them. Because when Narayan was bowling, it looked like a spinning pitch. When Narayan was batting, it looked like a flat pitch, and that game was sorted there itself. So bringing in either Overton or Karan would have probably given you more than just a zero that Deepak would have managed to hand to you. Uh, but that is not the primary issue that should be discussed. Because Deepak Huda coming in as impact player should have been a last resort move because you then lose out on the possible aspect of bringing in Patirana later, right? So your bowling option is completely cooked, and the whole concept of Patirana gets eliminated there, and that is going to put a lot of pressure on your team with the ball because now they have to get new ball wickets, or else that whole middle over space is going to get cooked.
Yeah, Deepak Huda is washed. We've been telling this from a long time. Huda,
I mean,
Huda
it's no
Tripathi.
surprise anymore, right? Now, if you have a team with Rahul Tripathi, Vijay Shankar, and Deepak Huda, all three in the playing 11 as of yesterday's game.
Although Vijay Shankar played decently well on that
Yeah,
surface,
I think he had the best strike rate among all the CSK batters.
yeah,
So his
but
myself one of
watching,
my
I can't watch Tripathi play, man. Like he's so what? I'm not finding that word. Like his batting action when they show it on TV.
it's not pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
like
even technically sound of what he's trying to counter. It doesn't
correct.
make sense at all.
The shoulder wiggle doesn't help for much, all right?
Your
But
head
that
is not still.
yeah, so the shoulder wiggle that Butler does is restricted only to this area. And that is fine. That is basically something that maybe adds a little bit of momentum and keeps your hands moving. And we've seen that with Faf as well because he likes moving his bat like a pretty
He
large
has
amount.
complete movement of the hand, arm, and everything.
Yeah, but his head is absolutely still. And that is
Yeah,
something that Rahul Tripathi has failed to do because not only does his shoulder move, but that transitions on towards his neck and also towards his axe.
yeah.
So yeah, it's something that CSK really have to address. They made now Ashwin bowling in the power play was a disaster, while Moeen Ali bowling in the power play looked like an absolute beast. Where are they going wrong?
Where are they going wrong? Hmm. It's definitely the batting and a lot to do with the toss as well. They've been on the wrong end of the toss quite a few times, and their approach during all those times have been dead opposite. If
Yeah.
they're bowling first, they're leaking runs. If they're chasing, uh, there is no intent at all. That's the only word that's flying around in Tamil Nadu and India and
Intent. Yeah.
Americans. There is no intent.
The usage of this word since the 2023 World Cup has been very depressing to listen to. But
Yeah,
yes, intent has been
often
an
is where everything went wrong. It could have been the opposite if the curator had curated a
yeah.
pitch for Chennai,
Yeah.
but
So
this season is
the,
quite
the
strange.
problem
A lot
the
of teams are
problem is
winning
that
their away games.
against RCB they prepare a pitch which is capable of giving them 200, and against KKR, which is literally the most dangerous spin attack in the tournament, they decide to give them a proper rank turner, which makes no
But
sense.
yeah, it didn't look like a rank turner when KKR was batting. Yeah,
When
it
KKR was
was a
batting, it did not
good
look like a right
two-sided
turner.
cricket.
There wasn't enough spinners. There weren't enough overs of spin bowled. Right? You had Jadeja finish with an economy of 54. How often do you see that in T20 cricket? One ball, 9 runs.
It was definitely not a 100 or 120, even a 140 wicket. It was a good 160, 180 wicket.
It was a classic Chepak Turner, which is a game of 160. Uh, it's just that their fast bowlers screwed up with their lines. Now, Anshul Kamboj bowled a no ball as soon as he came in. Khalil couldn't land his length properly. There was no swing on offer for him. And Ashwin, okay, so let's address the difference between what we saw from Moeen Ali and what we saw from Ashwin. The problem with Ashwin over the past couple of years in T20 cricket is once you hit him for one boundary, he changes everything he does with his bowling action. Suddenly, he tries to become Sunil Narayan. Suddenly, he becomes Shane Warne. He tries bowling in different actions. He tries too many variations. He starts trusting his stock delivery much lesser than he should. The difference is that Moeen Ali still backed his stock delivery and varied a little bit of pace. But aside from that, there's not much going on with Moeen Ali's variations. There, all there
Yeah,
was to it.
Moeen Ali gives a lot more air.
Yeah.
Ashwin is a lot more flatter. And
Mhm.
yeah, I would like to see a stat like post 2022.
How
The
many
number
off?
of
Yeah.
balls that Ashwin uses is off spin versus the Kerem ball.
Yeah.
He he is termed as the off spinner, but he just bowls everything Kerem ball to the right hander. Only
Yeah.
it's only when you
So
have
you
a
had
lefty.
left-handers. You had two left-handers opening, and he still didn't trust his regular off break to do the job. He starts launching them in a little bit faster than they're supposed to be, giving them lesser revolutions, and that's all going. It's getting belted for an economy of 10 and all
Yeah,
going on. I don't
it's just
know.
flying past the 30-yard circle. It's fine if you're going to try Ashwin in the power play.
Yeah.
Why don't you have a slip and fly it and give some air for the ball?
Yeah.
We saw how the field set was when Tala walked in against Sunil
True.
Narayan. Yeah,
Correct.
why can't they do it for their prime spinner?
Correct. If you also look at the one spinner who did do well for CSK, Noor Ahmed still did his job because he
He
bowled with
still
an economy
led
of
the
four.
charge
Overs on
8
the
wickets.
solid. So what is Noor Ahmed doing right that Ashwin and Jadeja are not?
Who have played on this ground for more than a decade now.
Years together, exactly. Now, I do understand that Noor Ahmed being a leggy does bring in a little bit more variation to his bowling, but that doesn't take away from the fact that these guys, at least Ashwin has a caramel, he has a normal off break, he has pace variation. So, variation is not the problem here. It's just the fact that he's trying too hard. Just put a little bit more flight on the ball, like Noor Ahmed did, and let the ball do its own job. Like you know that the surface is going to grip for you because it gripped for Moeen Ali with a brand new hard ball. So what is stopping them from trying this out?
Yeah, maybe it's
It is
a bit of
baffling.
confidence and the team being on a losing streak,
Yeah.
the confidence of their players, they're not backing their strengths. Yeah,
Yep.
five, five L's on a trot.
Huh. And I think this is the first time in CSK's history that they've had five losses in a row. They were very close to pulling that off in 2021, if I'm not no
20,
22.
2020 or 2022. Yeah,
One of those 2 years. They had four in a row for sure, and then something. Yeah, I don't
I
remember.
think MI gifted them a win.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, it is depressing to see a team like this play like this. We're not used to seeing CSK at the bottom of the table, but I think we can be prepared to see this happen at a pretty constant rate for the next 2 years for sure.
Yeah, with that, there's a surprise in the ongoing match right now.
Yeah,
GT have put a total score of 184-6 from where they were looking like touching 200, 220
yeah,
from their openers. Now they have had a small collapse and restricted themselves to 184-6. And you have Rishabh Pant opening with Aiden
yeah.
Markram.
Which is something that I am surprised to see because I thought it would be Himmat Singh trying to open with Aiden Makram. Now, we said this in our preview, the season preview as well. If LSG have Rishabh Pant playing in the top three, it is much more beneficial for them. Anything below that, and he is useless. Which is why we had initially predicted Markram and March to open and Pant at three, followed by Puran at four. But Pant being adamant to bat at three is something that has not worked for them. Sorry, bat
No,
at
I
four.
think it's more like the other way around. Puran wants to bat at three than Pant wanting to bat
Look,
at.
Puran batting at four has always given LSG good dividends. So I don't think he would have been adamant to bat at three. The top order is not something that Puran is keen on. I think
But
four would
playing Puran at three just gives you
it gives you
more
much.
out of
Yeah, it gives you so much more. I don't
so much
disagree.
more from Puran and much more better from what Pant can deliver at three.
Yes, for sure.
But that comes with the cost of compromising Pant's runs at
Yeah,
four.
yeah. Because as of now, Rishabh Pant is currently playing at two of seven balls.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
maybe.
first game opening, I won't judge too early.
Yeah.
Maybe at the end of power play, we'll know how Pant would play on this Ekana surface.
Yeah. It'll be nice. It'll be nice. A good contest between Siraj and Markram right now. He had a
Yeah.
good first over, barely gave away anything there. Had a last ball four, almost got Pant out as well because there was a run out opportunity. But yeah, first ball's gone for four. Hopefully, Siraj comes back from this. We always love watching Siraj bowl.
Yeah. Let's catch up on the run chase that's happening. We shall see you soon. Maybe tonight. After
Yeah,
maybe tonight. If the game's interesting, we'll be back tonight.
yeah. Because
We have
ideally, if
discussed
we
about
do a live
catch-up.
tonight, we can discuss two games tomorrow again. We have two double
Yeah.
headers in a row. It's going to be
Yeah,
hectic
we
to
have
watch.
also missed our catch up with our dear friend Abhishek.
Yeah,
And
I've been waiting here for Abhishek because I just wanted to let him know that I called the JFM top edge. I mean, I did this video separately about it. I hope he comes back and comments on this video. We will respond. Don't worry. All
yeah,
that stuff.
we shall see you tonight. And until then, enjoy the beautiful game of cricket that's happening now and the next game.
Yep.
Yeah.
SRH Bash Sesh. Let's go. Not happening. Okay. Good night. I mean, good.
It's almost good night looking at the weather conditions in Bengaluru.
It's gonna rain in Bengaluru today.
Yeah,
So,
hopefully SRS wins and we see CSK at the bottom of the table.
yep.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Right. See you
See
soon.
you then. Subscribe.